Welcome back to my Colorado Mountain Garden. And today I am going to make some lacto fermented salsa. This is more of a pico de gallo type salsa. And I used to water bath can my salsas, but I don't really like them because everything's mushy. So I started lacto fermenting my salsa a few years ago. This is a pretty standard recipe. You can find many of them on the internet that are a little bit different. This has 8 ingredients, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Then I'm going to chop everything, come back, and then show you how I get it into the jar and what it looks like and things like that. So the first thing that you're going to want is, which is in here, is about 2 cups of chopped tomatoes. And if you like your salsa chunky, just leave the stuff a little more chunkier. Um, there are certain things I like my tomatoes a little more chunky, but I like the onion chopped pretty small. Same with the jalapenos. So I've got tomatoes. I use white onion. You can use yellow. You can use purple, whatever you got. Jalapenos, and we're going to need 1 to 2 of those. We need 2 cups of tomatoes. It's going to be half this onion. And then I'm using an etuda pepper from my garden. But you can use a green pepper, you can use a poblano, whatever you want to use. If you use something like Anaheim or something like that, I would probably go ahead and roast it and get that skin peeled off. And then it's going to be 1 to 4 cloves of garlic, depending on the taste. And we've got some limes. It's probably only going to take about a tablespoon of lime, but I start out with the lesser amount. I'll start out, I've got some cilantro over here from the garden that I just got washed, and so it's kind of drying. I'm going to start out with one of these small limes. That's all they had. Usually I use a big lime and cut it in half, but I'll use one small. If I need to add more lime, again, it'll be 1 to 4 cloves of garlic. We like garlic. I rarely use too big of a pepper just because I'm not a big fan of green peppers. I don't mind these etudas, which are the yellow ones. And again, it's going to be 1 to 2 of the jalapenos. I do take the seeds out. I wear gloves. And 1 to 2 teaspoons of salt. This just happens to be sea salt. You don't want to use iodized salt. So I would use sea salt. You can use Himalayan pink, anything like that. So the other things that you're going to need is a quart container of like a ball container. You need something to hold, once we get the salsa in here, you need something to hold it down. I have, since I do a lot of lacto fermenting, I have the weights. They're pretty inexpensive on the internet. And you don't have to use the, again, I have these, for lacto fermenting, I have these lids that release the gases out. Now, this is just going to be a 2 to 3 day ferment, so it's not like sauerkraut that could bubble over. So if you don't have this, that's fine. You can just use your standard lid for a ball container. And for mine, that little lacto fermenting lid just fits in like this. So let me get everything cut up, and then I'll come back and I'll do another portion of the video so you can see where I'm at. All right, we're back. And as you can see, this is my salsa. I did use 2 teaspoons of salt, and you could eat this right now like this, and this will last in the fridge about somewhere between 3 to 5 days. The moisture that's coming out is because of the salt and the lime. And you can see, I'm going to try and, the onion, I make my onion a little bit smaller. If you don't like cilantro, you can use parsley, and you can use pretty much any type of tomato. These happen to be beefsteaks. I looked at the heirlooms at the grocery store and they didn't look so hot. Um, I usually shy away from the paste tomatoes because I don't get enough juice. And you need that juice, and I'll show you after I fill the bottle for the next step, because we need to make sure that this is submerged down in our jar. This was right at 2 cups of tomatoes. I may have to cut up the other one just to fill my jar, but I can do that afterwards and then just dump it out, re-clean my jar. My jar is sterilized. But let me get this in the jar and you can see, and then I'll show you how I put the weight on top, and then we're going to let it ferment on the countertop. All right, we're back. I've got everything in the jar. The one thing I wanted to mention is if you make a double batch, you want to try and reserve as much of the juice to pour in afterwards, because you want everything submerged down below the juice. If you don't have enough, then you can add water to the top, but you do not want to add chlorinated water. So if you're not on a well like me, you'll want to use some sort of filtered or bottled water or something like that that doesn't have chlorine in it. What I did do is just using my little rubber spatula here. You could use a wooden spoon or something like that to try and get as much air out of here as possible. And then I did clean up the sides just with a clean paper towel so that that's all clean. Now I'm going to put my weight in. And my weight will hold everything down. Now, a few of these things are going to come up. Now, I've got, let me try and lift the camera up here. You can see I've got enough juice in there, so it's leaking over the top. If you didn't have that, if you didn't have enough juice, and as the salt starts pulling even more moisture out of your tomatoes and peppers and stuff, you'll get more juice. But if you didn't have enough, then you would just take, some tap water if it's non-chlorinated, so if you have a well, or some bottled water, and you're just going to fill over the top. Okay? So, again, I have the ball. Well, it's not ball. It's called a spiglet or sliglet fermenting lid. But it works with my twist top here. And we're going to put that on. And I can tighten this down pretty good because the gases will come out of the top naturally in this type of fermenting. This is going to take approximately 2 days. If you have a very warm house, it may only take 1 day. And I will try and capture some pictures, but you'll start seeing some bubbles or fizzing and stuff like in there. It's not going to overflow like sauerkraut because you're only going to be doing it for 2 days. Things that, like if you don't get a lot of juice and you're using more water, if you use something like aroma or another type of paste tomato, that is, they just don't have as much juice in them. That's why I like using either heirlooms, or in this case I used beefsteaks. The other thing I wanted to show you is I ended up only using 2 cloves of garlic, and this is my garlic for my garden this year. And so these cloves are pretty big. This one has 4 in it, even though this is just a medium head. And my garlic is a little more potent than what you would buy at the grocery store. I do recommend that you buy fresh for everything. Don't put oils in here or anything like that. So don't buy that stuff that's already cut up. You want to use fresh. This will, after it ferments, will last 2 to 3 months in the refrigerator. And ours will be gone before then, but you can see how pretty it is. Um, and I'll come back. You can go to my Colorado Mountain Garden Homestead on Facebook. I'm going to try and snap some pictures after this starts bubbling a little bit, but I'm not going to make a video. I hope you're having a wonderful day and happy gardening.